This conference will now be recorded.
What's up, guys? I hope everybody had a great Tuesday. I'm going to talk a little bit quieter because my girlfriend's in the other room sleeping. So hopefully it's still loud enough. You guys can hear me. But yeah, I hope everybody's having a great week. It's been a crazy, crazy start to the week. One of the crazier, one of the crazier times we've ever been in. Not just like in my experience. My experience is pretty limited in terms of the broad history of the market. I think it's one of the crazier times just you have to think of it in terms of like everybody, seemingly everybody is trading all of a sudden. You know, people who this time last year wouldn't have even given a second thought to trading or putting money in a stock or putting money in an option, all of a sudden we have millions, maybe tens of millions of people that are now involved in the stock market. We have things like stimulus checks, everybody working from home, or most people working from home. We have the Federal Reserve printing money, interest rates. There's so many different catalysts that are triggering this influx of retail money, and not just retail money, but institutional money and hedge funds. And there's just so much liquidity right now in the market. Readily accessibility, easier accessibility, I should say, to internet connection. You know, everybody's got a phone, a tablet, a computer now. The taboo of trading and that it's scary and only the big suits can do it, and I have to have a guy, pay a guy to trade for me and make my investment decisions, blah blah blah. That's all been thrown out the window. It's a paradigm shift. Josh has talked about it before. I've talked about it before. But it's a paradigm shift right before our very own eyes, what we're experiencing right now. This is a first. One of the first times when, I mean, we have guys like Elon Musk, right? People, billionaires, who are all of a sudden involved with these meme stocks and talking about them. There's discussion. Guys, we have multi-billion-dollar hedge funds, not million, not 10 million, not 100 million. Hedge funds that are net worth capital, working with capital in excess of 10, 15 billion dollars, who are completely wasted. They are completely underwater. And these points that I'm bringing up, they can't be emphasized enough because this has never happened before. Yeah, there's been big short squeezes, but they die down, they fizzle off, and it's back into the pockets for the big dogs, right? So there's a couple ways that this plays out, in my opinion. And I could ramble on and on and on about what's taking place and how it's so revolutionary, because it's never been like this before. But I want to talk a little bit about what I'm kind of expecting going forward. So where do we go from here? For me, there's really two main routes that this event takes. And this is a big event. I know everybody's talking about it. Anybody involved in Twitter or Reddit, or, I mean, probably most people who are on the internet, which is probably most people, are well aware of the stock market and the bubble that we're in. And I think especially over the last couple of days with GameStop, how this short squeeze has just, I mean, it's creating millionaires overnight, and it's wasting some of the biggest hedge funds in the world. So, okay, where do we go from here? So my gut tells me that, and again, this is just my opinion, it doesn't mean anything. It's just, take it for 2 cents, for whatever it's worth, right? One thing to just keep in mind, it's fun, it's it's funny, it's hilarious because, we're watching guys like Citron Research and some of these super, super wealthy hedge fund guys who have been ripping off retail investors for years and decades and decades. I mean, the big guys on Wall Street, now we have all of the major news outlets talking about how the Reddit forums is it's all of a sudden that's market manipulation, right? But in years past, I mean, in the history of time up until the last couple of weeks, they can put out whatever analysis they want. They can put out whatever price targets they want. And, that's just news. That's not market manipulation. Now, all of a sudden, we have a hive mind. We have a cult-like hive mind that has rallied behind this brick and mortar, essentially dead retail stock. I don't know what the market value, the market capitalization is, but we're talking about a stock that was trading single digits this time last year and rallied today after hours up to $250. Okay. So a lot of this, I'm not saying all of it, but a lot of this has to do with the points I was talking about earlier. Federal Reserve printing money, stimulus checks going into people's pockets, everybody working from home, everybody now having access to trading platforms. And when I say everybody, I'm talking about most people. Everybody now no longer thinking of trading as this taboo. And so what you have now is an environment that can create this. And that's exactly what Wall Street Bets on Reddit has done. They found this stock, they got behind it, and this is the result. You have research firms and hedge funds and big time money that comes out and they say, oh, we're shorting the stock. I don't think that happens anymore. I don't think those kinds of firms and funds are gonna release those types of short positions. But I'm leading up to the big point. The one of the two things. The first thing that I think is possible out of all of this craziness is at the end of the day, it's kind of subjective. And again, I don't know by definition what market manipulation is. I don't see what the problem is. I think people are entitled to their opinion. They're entitled to trade what they want. And just because there's a gigantic following and it's blowing up a certain stock that shouldn't be trading anywhere near the valuation that it is, but at the end of the day, who cares, because that's the market we're in. What's happening now is that the suits, the guys, the big guys, the guys that are running these firms and these funds and these guys that have the billions of dollars in their pockets, they're pissed off. And so I think one of the scenarios that happens is SEC involvement, maybe some kind of referendum to trading regulations or trading rules or what is quote unquote allowed as far as public forum with stuff like Wall Street Bets. Possibly even Twitter. And again, this is me kind of, I might be going a little far-fetched, but I don't think it really is that far-fetched. You have to think about the environment we're in. We're in a bubble of all bubbles. We've never seen a bubble like this before. There's been bubbles. We had the tech bubble. We've had bubbles. We've seen bubbles, but the way the market currently is, with, like I was saying, the accessibility to trading and just this paradigm shift that I keep talking about. It's new, and there has to be some kind of, and when I say there has to be, again, it's just my opinion, but I feel like the SEC or some kind of government regulation is going to have to come in and intervene somehow. Because at the end of the day, those guys are billionaires. They have way deeper pockets. Yes, there's a lot more people involved with retail trading, but at the end of the day, I mean, if history's any indicator of how this plays out, those guys get bailed out. Those guys go right back to where they were. And the story just kind of continues on with, you know, the big guy, the powerful people probably are going to win this war. And we are at war. It sounds so corny and it sounds so stupid, but like it's literally a war. It's a war for retail traders versus Wall Street. That's what it is. And if your money is that retail is going to win this war, which they kind of currently are, and when I say we, I'm retail too, we're winning this war right now because we're in a bubble. Everything's going up. You can't short shit. When you short shit, it goes down, and next thing you know, it's right back. I mean, it's a bubble, and my gut says that the big dogs win the war. And I don't know exactly what that means. If it means intervening somehow on public forum, whether that be Reddit, whether that be Wall Street Bets specifically, maybe perhaps even Twitter. I could see somehow, some way they could come off and kind of not necessarily shut it down, but put serious restrictions and possibly regulations on it. So now I go to the second scenario. So that's kind of like the darker scenario. That's the scenario that no one wants to see because there would be so much backlash. It would be so horrible. It would be a total, that would be horrible. That would be horrific. But again, I just observe the market we're in, and my gut just tells me that something like that happens. Okay, so now we go to the other possible scenario, or how it could also play out. So, you know, right now we have stocks like GameStop. I mean, not even just GameStop. I'm talking sectors, the electric vehicle sector, the green energy, renewable energy sector as a whole. The sector's a huge bubble, and it's just been nonstop for 6-7 months since like June last year. You have SPACs, the special acquisition companies that are merging. They're essentially blank check companies trading at $10 a share, and then usually some kind of speculation comes in. The stock goes up maybe 20, 40, 50%, even pre-announcement, and then all of a sudden they announce the merger, which is essentially an IPO. And you know what's happening is a lot of retail is now getting in at IPO price. So again, that's something else that's never really been happening like it's happened over the last year. These SPAC plays, retail getting involved at the same time that the deep pockets are getting involved. You know, a lot of these people, a lot of these firms, funds, whoever are financing some of these companies, they're pretty much doing it at the same price that retail is entering. So again, sorry, back to the main point. So another possible scenario, and this is more of like kind of a ripple effect off of like GameStop specifically. So GameStop, obviously it's not just going to go to $1,000, $2,000, right? That's just ridiculous to believe. It is possible that it could go up another 100% from here, and I'll break down the chart in a second and kind of show you where my head's at and how I see that playing out. But it's very possible now that we have, well, it's not even the recipe. The recipe is now totally out there. The highly shorted stocks, the meme stocks, literally meme stocks, highly shorted. A lot of the companies are essentially dead. They're dead companies, and all of a sudden, boom, the formula, the recipe is now out there. So it can be replicated, and it's possible that it is replicated again in relatively short time too, maybe within the next month. I'd still think though, if it ends up being replicated again, I think that's even more likelihood that there's some kind of government or SEC, whatever interference that disrupts this kind of new method of creating wealth for retail traders. It's just fascinating. I mean, I could talk about it for the next 2 hours with you guys. It's so fascinating. There's so many layers to it. It's really amazing to watch unfold. But yeah, that's kind of the two main scenarios that I see playing out. And really, I don't think this ends well for retail. That's the take-home message. I don't think that this ends well for retail traders. And then again, the obvious scenario 3, is that there is no interference, there is no regulation, blah, blah, blah. But retail gets pummeled anyway because things pull back, things come back down to earth, and it's a meme, it's funny, it's all fun and games, but like, it's science. It's literally like, it's charts, it's science, it's data. Like, this stuff is going to come back down to earth. And so scenario 3 is that everybody and when I say everybody, I'm just talking about most people that have made money or a crap ton of money on the way up, those people just get completely obliterated, wiped out on the way down. And with that scenario, it kind of goes back to what I was originally saying, where the big guys end up winning anyway. So like, yeah, retail, they're in the lead right now, but the big guys are going to win. They're going to win in the end because they always do. That's how it works. The system's rigged. It sucks. It is what it is. There's nothing me or you could really do about it besides participate, I guess, in a short squeeze and have fun while we can, and watch a couple funds blow up and stuff like that. But yeah, so I guess the third scenario is kind of the obvious scenario where on the backside everybody just gets their asses handed to them, and we kind of just continue on and go from there. But yeah, I do want to break down GameStop's chart, kind of give you not just GameStop, I'll go over kind of the watch list game plan for tomorrow too, just the top few setups that I have. So here's the